Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. There's been a lot going on. I'm pretty sure you've noticed that we're going to try and go over a lot of it, all of it, some of it, just because it's been a lot to handle. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says SEC sues Coinbase for operating an unregistered exchange after Binance. If you missed the news somehow, weren't here for it, I don't know how you did it and count yourself lucky, because it's been a bit of a whirlwind over the course of the last couple of days. I have my own opinions on this. If you've watched the channel before, you know relatively how I feel about a lot of this. A lot of this feels completely planned. A lot of the timing for this feels certain. Like, this doesn't feel like something that the SEC wasn't having a discussion about for a very long time. The same exact thing we had in the other video, for those of you who missed it, where it was basically the SEC filed lawsuits against multiple cryptocurrency companies. The bulk of it were cryptocurrency exchanges. Then I think a day after, there were 11 states within the United States who also filed lawsuits against Coinbase, stating that they were doing something illegal, yada, yada. And then there was something about the SEC in Nigeria who also did the exact same thing. So all this stuff just kind of lining up together just kind of only really solidifies. I know that I say the word corruption a lot, and I think sometimes, you know, like, you become desensitized to things, especially if you are from the States, live inside of the States. For those of you who have ever lived there, I was born there. You kind of become numb to all the nonsense that's constantly going on around you, even when you realize that something is wrong. And this is what I kind of think is going on right now. I see a lot of people talking about all the stuff that's taking place, but it's kind of in like a very blasé kind of way. Not that I see people like being optimistic and talking about, yeah, like, you know, it's cool, prices will go back up. And it's like, no, like, it's not cool. Like, they shouldn't be allowed to even do things like this to make sure that people lose money. And it's just a vicious cycle of things that people keep allowing to happen. And this is how you get corruption. This is how you get the bad people constantly winning, filling up their pockets. It's the same exact thing within the United States with all the Congress people who write the laws, who are constantly doing insider trading, but they wrote the laws, so for them it's not insider trading. So they make $50 million a year from selling and trading and buying stocks and all these other things because they can't get in trouble for it. And it even says somewhere within the law, like, if they do get in trouble, if they are at fault for something, I think they get charged like $200. Like, I think that's the actual number. It's a complete load of nonsense. So the last couple of days have basically been a gigantic tug of war between the crypto industry and a lot of other people who are trying to, like, stand on their tippy toes to claim that they're with us and or that they're trying to help and all these other really weird things. It says Coinbase, America's largest crypto exchange, sued by SEC for securities violations. Apparently over the course of this week, this one right now, we're going to start hearing more allegations or other things that are going to be coming up. I forgot what the other thing was. Someone mentioned it very recently. They expect this week, I think, that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is going to say something against Binance. This has been a long time coming, in that I told all of you that they're trying to push these crypto exchanges out of the way so that the big boys can kind of get into play. When it comes to Coinbase, Coinbase is, air quotes, in trouble for having offered something that the SEC has declared as a security on their platform. Cool, why not? I know they're lying. And then on the Binance side, people have been throwing around stuff since around 2018, 2019, that basically because Changpeng Zhao has roots from China, is from China, who knows, who cares, basically has been allowing other people around the world to circumvent US sanctions, which is all a load of nonsense because banks do the exact same thing all the time. But when the banks get caught, they only get charged $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million after they've already laundered $45 billion, and then no one even bats an eye. On top of that as well, credits rating Moody. Moody is basically the one who basically says if your stock or company is good or not. They can downgrade it, they can upgrade it. You've seen before where companies have like a AA, a AAA rating and all that other stuff. So, like, you know that it's good to be able to invest in them. Coinbase got downgraded. Of course they're going to, because of all the stuff that's happening with the SEC. Kathy Wood from ARK Invest is, of course, in the news once again. She bought more Coinbase stock after the SEC lawsuit ended up hitting. She announced again that she's going to be buying more. For some reason, she's completely in love with Coinbase and their stock, and I don't really understand, because there's far more profits to be made from nearly every other cryptocurrency as prices actually end up going back up. But alas, she has her own portfolio, and it is most certainly not mine. SEC lawsuit against Binance adds $115 billion worth of tokens to unregistered securities lists. Yep, it sounds insane, but that's completely true. I think they're near 60 tokens that the SEC listed on a list that they said were actually that they claimed to be unregistered securities, and therefore we saw the market liquidate itself, and a whole bunch of coins literally worth billions of dollars have been added to the list of the things that the SEC is trying to control. They're not trying to control it because they're trying to help the cryptocurrency space. They're not doing it because they want to help US investors. They would have done that back in 2016, 17 when people were already asking them for cryptocurrency regulations. What they're trying to do is basically make sure that they have billions of dollars worth of coins and or companies who are behind these coins who now have to answer to them and pay them in yearly fees and pay them millions of dollars every time that they're trying to get something listed. It's always just about money. Always. And that's the main problem that I have with a lot of this, is that in a not even a perfect world, in a world that would make a little bit more sense, we would have seen the SEC try and get control over all of this a number of years ago, and therefore they would have actually had tons of money that would have been taxed, that could have actually gone to taxpayers and or infrastructure within the United States. Instead, they do it by basically throwing their weight around, trying to make everyone else scared and like dropping the prices at the exact same time. We could have done this back in 2017, but alas, for some reason, no one's doing anything, and I don't really get it. You'll also see there's also some other people who are trying to throw around a whole bunch of other stuff that they're trying to fight back against the SEC, but they're not doing anything. It's just a complete nonsense all over again. So basically, there's a whole bunch of security violations that have been alleged against a number of cryptocurrency exchanges at the moment. Changpeng Zhao, one of course knew this was going to happen, has announced that he is going to vigorously fight anything that the SEC has to say about them or is going on about them or yada, yada, yada. Part of the problem that I have with a lot of this is that I'm a very glass half full, rose-colored glasses, tomorrow the sun will rise kind of guy. In that I was like, okay, maybe this will all blow over the course of the next couple of days and or weeks. Nope, I think the SEC is going to drag this out for as long as they possibly can. And in that, I think they're going to try and make it similar to the lawsuit against Ripple. For those of you who are unaware, it is nearing its 2.5 year. It's been going on for a very long time. And I think as long as the SEC can drag out something with these lawsuits to make it seem like something is actually wrong and or try to pay off people behind the scenes to make it so that it goes into the SEC's favor, they're going to do so. So I do actually fear that a large number of coins are going to be heavily affected by this over the course of the next 2 years. But, and I say BUT in gigantic letters in the sky, and if anyone's actually listening, this is only affecting the United States of America. I know only 3 person heard me, and I know that's as far as it's going to go. I keep trying to make sure that everyone realizes that crypto is actually this global force and is not just within the United States of America, but a lot of times, whatever the news might be, like, think of what happened. There are estimated to be hundreds of millions of people who are into crypto, a large majority of them being in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. We got news that one regulatory body filed 2 lawsuits and prices dropped by 33 to 45%. So Changpeng Zhao says he's going to try and fight this as much as possible. This was also major news. For some reason, a lot of people were like really happy and threw their weight behind them. Did you think that he was going to be like, yeah, I think we're just going to roll over and kind of, pay all the fees and the fines? No, they don't think that they did anything wrong, because at this point, at least from my vantage point, they haven't. They've actively been like, hey, okay, cool, regulate us. They've been going after all the paperwork. We saw what they did. There are multiple Binance eyes at this point. They're in like 25 different countries. There are Binance Japan, there's Binance Nigeria, there's Binance Ireland, and yada, yada, yada. Do you honestly think that they didn't take the time to try and file paperwork in the United States? That was the only country where they were like, I don't care. Binance is also in Canada. They filed paperwork. There's no one. You realize how this is all a lie from the SEC, right? No one else is picking up on any of this nonsense. Binance lawsuits trigger $700 million worth of withdrawals. Metaverse tokens named by SEC, leading in the decline in price. A large, glass half full, silver lining kind of thing. A lot of people are noting that a huge amount of coins have been taken off of Binance and Coinbase. This is the result of fear. A lot of people thought these exchanges would be shut down. They wouldn't be able to get their money off of them. You kind of name it. But the other side of the coin actually is that there's now less coins on these exchanges, and there are less coins to go around, and therefore if people are buying these coins, it'll be a lot easier for the prices to actually end up going back up. So that's kind of something cool, but I give it 2 or 3 weeks. I think a lot of people will forget about the vast majority of the things going on unless the SEC throws another rock at us. But everything else should begin to smooth out in about a good 2 weeks. It's usually, what's the time frame? We got about like 15, 16, 17 days that humans tend to be afraid of something, and then they kind of go on past it because life actually does have to go on. Robinhood has officially announced that they're going to be delisting a number of coins. We went over this before. Cardano, Polygon, and Solana are the ones that continuously rise to the top of the news, as these are very popular coins. And therefore, a lot of people are expecting other crypto exchanges to kind of do the same. No other exchanges have actually even announced they're going to be delisting or doing anything about these coins at the moment, which I also find quite interesting, that this is literally just against Binance and Coinbase, at least for the moment. In We Didn't Do It news, the Solana Foundation has announced that Solana is not a security. The native token of the Solana blockchain, Sol, was alleged to be an unregistered security in this week's SEC lawsuit against crypto exchange Binance US and Coinbase. What's this guy's name? Hoskinson has come out quite often in the last couple of days talking about that Cardano is not a security, and therefore he's going to do whatever he needs to do. I don't think he's going to do much. I think Hoskinson is the kind of guy to kind of like stand in the back and scream forward as everyone else charges forward, as he doesn't really move. That's not me being mean. It just simply like this just kind of seems like what it actually is. As far as like for Solana, I know a lot of people like it, but I've been telling all of you this for a very long time. Not even that it's a security. It's just that it's garbage. Like like you can't really say that you're not doing something as the creator of a coin when you actually have a physical location and a foundation. This is what the SEC is looking for. This is why Ripple got in trouble, because they have an actual physical location. And this seems to be the majority of the issue with the entire thing. As far as from what we've been going on before, it would appear to me that, now you can tell me that I'm wrong. I know that I'm not, but please, by all means, scream at me in the comment section. Whenever their database, Solana, kept on crashing 11 times last year, it was restarted by the Solana Foundation. Am I incorrect? Right. So that basically means that they, in essence, in some sort of way, have control over the actual database, or you might call it a blockchain, because I'm pretty sure you can't do that with any other coin. This was part of the issue back even before we had security accusations. Back in good old, 2016, 17, or 18? There was an issue on the Ethereum blockchain. I think it was a huge hack. Something happened. I think a DAO was hacked, a decentralized autonomous organization. And I think Vitalik Buterin was one of the main people. He was like, okay, chain split. And they made a new chain, and this is why we have Ethereum Classic and Ethereum. And people were like, whoa, you can't be the decider of that. And this is why since then, like every time there's something major happens on Ethereum, there's like an actual vote now, because you can't simply have one person being like, oh, okay, let's go back in time, because that definitely throws you into the entire category of being a security. But even on that note, when it comes to there's so much money and so much stuff floating around, and I wish that I could give all of you the complete level of, not even like my knowledge. I don't know anything secret, but it's more like I read so much about this space all the time and how much money is constantly flowing through it. You have to understand that there is a bit of weirdness when it comes down to the Bitcoin not being a security and Ethereum not being a security thing. There are huge benefactors behind the scenes who have made sure that this did not come true and probably will not come to fruition, that these coins would be designated as a security in any sort of way. If you were here back in 2020, 2021, it was alleged that Ethereum was a security. We heard that there was some lobbying going on, and we have not heard a word about that since. So the Solana Foundation says that Sol is not a security. I think someone from Dogecoin also was like, hey, Doge also isn't a security. It's all these people basically trying to stand up on like little rocks to, scream loud enough to say, we're trying to do everything that we can to fight against the SEC. But a lot of these coins were also only created for the sake of money, to make money. The idea is you create something, you string it along for as long as possible. You make as much money as you can. There are certain people within the cryptocurrency space, if you look back on it, who were worth nearly nothing, maybe like a couple $1,000s over the course of the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. They now have private jets. They don't actually care about the project. It's just about as much money as they can make, because if they can string these things along to 2030, 2040, and then the coins collapse, they go, oh, well, you know, we had a good run. The SEC tried to stop us. But once again, a lot of you always have to pay attention to what's actually going on when it comes to all these money matters. XRP holders lawyer wants to represent Coinbase and Binance customers. Cringe. There are a lot of people right now who are or claim to be experts and stuff like that when it comes to the XRP Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, who are like that they're trying to now work with Coinbase and Binance to like be their lawyers. And I'm like, do you understand how powerful Coinbase and Binance are? Like the lawyers, not a lawyer, lawyers who are they are going to actually hire. You know that there are certain companies, and one of them ends in a Donald's, who actually, like, when they have like lawsuits against them, they have hundreds of lawyers. Do you understand how nonsensical like think of going into like a courtroom and someone has hundreds of lawyers, and this is how they never actually end up losing these lawsuits. So we know that they're going to fight tooth and nail. It's just simply going to be dragged out by the SEC because, and I stick to this wholeheartedly, if we go over the news every single day, and we've seen since around 2017 that these companies have been asking for regulations and they've gotten none, and now they're in trouble for it, we know who's lying. There's not a real question as to if, Binance and Coinbase are simply lying. No, we've been going over this for a long amount of time. John Deaton invites crypto users to stand against the SEC. No, everyone should. Like every single human being right now within the United States. Like literally every single one. Like throw cold water on it. Like stop the festering corruption that is constantly happening, because none of this should be taking place. The only things that should actually probably be registered with the SEC are things that actually, so if you make a coin and or a blockchain, no, there's no registration needed. If you are making something that will allow people to trade on your platform or do something with that coin that gives you a 50x or 100x leverage, that should probably be registered. Anything that actually has to do with these coins being used as a currency or traded against other things or for people or to people, that's completely fine. So all the allegations that we're seeing right now, I can't begin to imagine how the SEC, how do these people sleep at night? I remember hearing that phrase. You must have heard it. When I was a kid, it was in so many different movies. How do you sleep at night? How do you deal with yourself? And it made no sense. But when you see stuff like this, I'm like, you know that you're lying. You know that you're actively making sure that you make the lives of millions of people in the just within the United States who are in this market miserable. Like you are destroying the lives of tons of people. How do you sleep at night? How do you go about your day knowing that you're an absolutely terribly disgusting person? Coinbase CEO faces allegations of insider trading and $1.7 million stock sale. So the news is as well, there was a Coinbase insider trading lawsuit that just ended a couple of days ago. It was one of the former employees or something like that. Apparently, allegedly, he knew that something was going to happen. He traded some stock. He got in trouble. He paid a fine, and now he's completely off scot-free. Who cares? The other allegations have been for a long amount of time, and I don't know. And I'll try and tell you in the nicest way possible. So after the SEC lawsuit actually ended up taking place against Coinbase, I think a day or two later, the CEO of Coinbase sold some of his stock, and people were like, shenanigans, you can't do that. This is, so-and-so, you knew that everything was going to happen. You were aware of the SEC's thing beforehand. When you are the CEO or the head of a major multi-billion-dollar corporation, I'm not sure if a lot of you know this, it's just basically from reading around online and watching documentaries. The sale of the holdings that you have in that company have to be declared beforehand. So me as the CEO of TMI, that's worth $900 billion, I can't simply wake up on a Tuesday and go, I think I want a new yacht, and then sell off half of the company. No, this has to go through the shareholders and the majority stakeholders within the company. Have any of you watched Succession? You know how like they have that like huge board meeting and like they're calling people like on the intercoms and they're all talking to them. Like there's like huge meetings and you set it out beforehand when you say that you're actually going to be selling something, because the CEO of a company selling their stock is going to have a negative effect on the price. So what you do is summer 2020, you say, hey, around this time in 2023, I have a planned sell off of some stock, 1% of my holdings. And in December, I'm going to do the exact same thing. It gets voted on. It gets actually told to the public, as Coinbase is a public company and people know that these things are going to take place. So when the sell off actually does happen, people have had 9, 10, 11, 12 months to digest the fact that the owner is going to be selling off some of his, property to be able to do what he wants. So the idea that the CEO of Coinbase sold off some of his stuff for insider trading, no. You have to do this months in advance. There is no waking up. Like this is why like a lot of times when you hear that people are worth like $200 billion, none of that money is liquid, or rather the smallest portion of it. Like it's tied up in companies, in countries, in entities, in banks, in bank accounts, in different assets. And you have to liquidate these things to be able to, have your liquid money back. There is no one on the planet who has $200 billion inside of a bank account. Right. So that's also one of the things that was floating around, and I couldn't roll my eyes enough. I was like, I don't understand. On top of all of this, I guess to try and smooth things out, the developers of Ethereum have announced that they have finalized the next upgrade for Ethereum. I think it was meant to kind of boost up morale within the market. It says it's somewhere around here exactly what the upgrade is going to do. It's kind of like, okay, cool, why not? It's going to increase data storage for blobs and lower gas fees, reduce on-chain data storage fees to enhance block space, sure, why not? Enhancing bridge and staking pool designs for improved functionality, making minor code changes to enhance the Ethereum virtual machine, and eliminating code that could potentially terminate smart contracts. So there's no date for this, exactly when it's going to happen. I forgot, this is Cancun, and I forgot the other first name of this upgrade, but it's not probably going to have any major effect on the price because everyone is waiting and anticipating the gigantic mega, 1,000 transaction per second kind of transition. But I have a very strange feeling Ethereum's either never going to get that upgrade, or it's going to be smashed into something like what Cardano has, where within one transaction you can have like 4,500 other transactions, and therefore it's doing millions, that kind of thing. But cool. So they released this news. It had almost no effect on the price because everything was slamming down over the course of the last couple of days. The least affected coins were once again Bitcoin and Ethereum, as they somehow, money-wise, remain unscathed from all the news that has been floating around. It says Bitcoin tug of war, US loses grip as Asia tightens hold. For those of you who've been missing that news or have been missing the other channel that I have known as Money Rules, there's been a lot of news recently that China is taking heavy advantage of what's happening in the United States right now. And a lot of US companies have announced that they're going to be moving to Asia, and Hong Kong recently announced that they are rolling out the crypto red carpet for Binance and Coinbase to do business over there as well. This is one of the, and I don't use this term often, if not ever, one of the biggest L's, like the letter L, that the US is ever, like I sincerely don't understand what the SEC and the USA thinks that they're actually doing. The USA could be the powerhouse for the cryptocurrency market right now. They could literally, over the course of the last 5 years, have solidified and made sure that everyone in their country who was into crypto would be multimillionaires right now. But alas, this nonsense continues to happen. So as I predicted before, remember earlier last year where I was saying, I was like, why doesn't Ripple just move to Asia? And then Ripple was like, hey guys, we're moving to Africa and Asia, and we're going over here, and we're going over there. And I was like, why doesn't Coinbase and Gemini just make other places around the world? And then now they're trying to get into Japan. And also they have offices in Ireland. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, eventually all the money and the brain drain is going to happen to the US as companies simply go, okay, well, we've been asking for regulation since 2012. And, It's been a while, so we're simply going to go other places. As once again, Hong Kong got cryptocurrency. They legalized and got cryptocurrency regulations in 6 months. Right? Completely insane. Also, and people had a problem with this, and I don't exactly know why. It says Jack Dorsey faces fierce backlash after calling Ether a security. Do you know who Jack Dorsey is? Jack Dorsey is the final boss when it comes to Bitcoin maximalists. Jack Dorsey believes that Bitcoin is literally the only coin. He believes that every other coin does not and should not exist. He left Twitter and announced that he was dedicating his life. You know how short our lives are? That he's dedicating his life to Bitcoin. Why would you be surprised that he doesn't like Ether? He is the final boss at the top of the hill in the dark castle, stroking the hairless cat. He has multiple forms, and they are all Bitcoin. So a lot of people, I think it's just kind of anger floating around that he would even think of saying something like, but he said it before. Jack Dorsey has explicitly stated over the last couple of years, only Bitcoin matters. He's one of the first people who ever said that Bitcoin is going to $100 million per coin. He thinks that literally within the next 3 halvings, 2024, 2028, and by 2032, he thinks that Bitcoin will be the only currency on the planet. You can find it. He said this multiple times. He is dedicating his life to Bitcoin. So he called Ether a security. So when I was growing up, weird story, I had an uncle who only drank, was it Coca-Cola? One of the pops. And I mean, he only drank that. There was never any water that ever entered his system. And that's kind of like me, hey, you only drink that. Do you want some water? And he's like, no, I'm okay. And it's like, well, okay, never mind. Jack Dorsey only drinks Bitcoin and nothing else. So don't get upset for people saying things that you knew that they were going to say. Like, don't get upset when you hear me call Tron and Solana garbage, because I've been telling you that for a number of years. And look at what's happening. So I'm not really exactly understanding what's going on. Also, in like, what's happening in reality. In a recent hearing before the House Agricultural Committee, Rostin Behnam, chairman of the U.S. Commodities Future Trading Commission, addressed Congress on the obstacles the agency faces in implementing new cryptocurrency regulations. Basically, this guy said that they want to give cryptocurrency regulations, but it's going to take 4 years. He said, however, with additional funding to match the potential added responsibility for crypto spot markets, he estimated that the process could take 3 to 4 years. Regulators within the United States think it's going to take them 3 to 4 years to get cryptocurrency regulations. I feel like if I wanted to, that I could actually run up a wall. I'm almost certain right now that if I wanted to, I could form ice like Iceman, because nothing in reality seems to be stacking up at the moment. You know how many other countries we've had over the course of the last, year, who have given proper cryptocurrency regulation? Did you see a couple of days ago, Europe, all of Europe, not one of Europe, all of Europe has proper cryptocurrency regulations. Now they have like blanket rules that kind of cover all of them. Not concerning taxation, but as far as like movement of funds, what you can and can't do, and who can, so and what you have to do when you sign up for a crypto exchange. All of Europe. One fell swoop. So, I said at the beginning of this year, lightly joking, I said it's going to take 5 to 10 years for the US to have any type of proper cryptocurrency regulation. By the time, about a good couple of days ago when we got the SEC news, I told all of you it's going to take at least 5 years. How weird life is that this guy said the entirety of the rules would take 3 to 4 years. It doesn't. I'm almost certain I could write them myself. I'm certain I'd be able to write cryptocurrency regulations, and I'd be about a good 90-95% of the way there. I may be missing some other stuff because I'm not a lawyer. I don't have all these, fancy schmancy, rule books and stuff, but I'm almost certain I would get it nearly correct in my first go. So it's going to take 3 to 4 years for cryptocurrency regulation, which leads me to believe Asia is going to dominate the next bull run. They are going to absolutely crush it. We are going to see so many news stories of how many new millionaires and even billionaires there are within Asia and probably also in Europe when the cryptocurrency market goes up, just simply because people will know what they can and can't do with their money. So, yeah, that is going to do it for this video. I'm sorry there wasn't a happier tone. You might be able to tell I'm a little peeved, as it were, with all the nonsense that's been going on. I had always assumed someone behind the scenes was writing cryptocurrency regulations, was getting everything in order. The US was going to dominate. Everything was going to, it just seemed logical. I've heard only this story since I was a child, as far as the USA always taking charge and being, the money makers. And yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure. There's also like something going around, people trying to get rid of Gary Gensler, and I'm like, sure, go for it. Like there's like all these petitions to fire him or I don't even know. None of it's going to happen. So my only other prediction, which I have a feeling is going to come true, is by the end of this year, once again, a good November, December, we are going to hear Fidelity, BlackRock, JP Morgan, and a couple of other companies are going to be launching their cryptocurrency exchanges. And then I will know for certain that all of this was done to get the other players off the field, to make sure that the people who already run the world would then have control over the US markets. Just seems logical. I do hope you've all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Do hope it's absolutely incredible. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.